You talk about, it sounds like you're going to try to go a little bit earlier than you've gone in the past.
I think so. I think less is more. And I think the earlier start time is good. We're going to practice before Hoosier Hysteria because you're allowed to start after 5 o'clock. So we'll do that. I'm usually gone on a little vacation this time of year right before practice starts, but it's been recruiting every day other than today. So pushed our thing back where we went an hour today. We'll go an hour tomorrow, then we'll have our 5 o'clock time on Friday, and then we'll come out for Hoosier Hysteria and try to have some fun with that. But I think earlier, I think the fact that it'll give people more opportunities to bring their families. It'll allow people to come from distance. It will allow the students to get out that night. So I think that's important. Plus, there's an early start the next day for the football game.
What time do you think you'll be done this year?
Hard to tell. I'm not going to have the mic very much, so I think that'll help shorten it up a little bit. Less ad-libbing this year. Hopefully the contests will carry themselves. You know, it's a big jump. First year we have a layup contest. You know, this year it's an all-out dunk contest like last year.
How important is the event for recruiting?
Oh, I think it's very important, but I think it's important for everyone. I think it's important that I think it's a good time for people to come in and see how the bodies have changed. I think they're going to see that. The product of what these guys have done in the off season, the product of what they have done in the sense of what Janae is putting them through, in the sense of what we're trying to get accomplished, but the conditioning aspect, the lifting aspect, I think they'll see some of that. But it's a great chance for the players we recruited, the players that were injured, like Maurice and Matt, you know, to be re-welcomed back a little bit. But for all the players that have really worked extremely hard, you know, from last season. But without a doubt, recruiting is a huge part of this. I mean, you can't have Indiana basketball at Indiana University and not have great crowds. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's what it's always been about. And that's what it needs to continue to be. And I think that's what we expect. I think that's what the fans have always done, and I know that's what recruits want to see. I think creating a mindset is the most important thing, more than anything about experience. An example, a year ago I would have already had about 8 to 10 plays, and I mean we haven't been 5-on-5 yet. I mean it's not even a thought right now. It will be Friday afternoon before we go out on the court. I want to have some offense in, but it's all about competition. You know, it's all about score and a consequence right now. It's all about the defensive mindset. You know, figuring out who we are defensively, who they are individually defensively, getting some of our main rules in defensively, but really creating a competition and having it go from verbalizing how competitive it's going to be this year to actually them feeling it. And I think we're getting to that point, you know, for this point in the year. But even with when we had the small group workouts, it's been a lot about decision making. There's been pressure on every pass. You know, it used to have so much where the managers and coaches would pass the ball. We do that maybe 10% of the time now. And there's no open pass for a player. I mean, everything's with a pad being knocked around, you know, somebody getting up into them, you know, creating space, pivoting, all those things that you wouldn't normally do till you got the practice we've been doing in the fall. So I'm excited about the direction that we're taking right now, because it's totally about mindset. There's no slippage in the sense of like backing off and we're going to allow this bad decision to go, or we're going to not guard this way.
Is it a little bit different because you're not telling them kind of what you want from them because there's only 3 new guys, like you said, instead of 6 or 13?
No, because I think everybody's mindset needs to be created. There was as much as we tried to build one, there was not a good enough defensive mindset in this program either year. You know, first year was a little more understandable. Last year, not as understandable. I mean, your best players are not the best players if they're not the hardest workers and if they're not in that top 3 defensively. But again, more than anything else right now, it's about the competition. It's about creating depth. It's about creating the fear of the unknown. If I don't bring it every day, there's somebody right there who can take my spot. I mean, I made a clear point to the guys the other day that these 3 new guys, they're not here just to kind of hang out and wait their turn. I mean, they're here to play. They're here to get minutes. I mean, they're formidable folks. And so it's a real balancing act, because you want the competition, but at the same time, like I tell the guys, the baseline of everything that we do has got to be support for one another. Because you're trying to build this internal competition, but you're also trying to get them to support, encourage, and that takes time for a young team because it gets territorial, and it'll continue to get that way. Now that's not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if they don't understand that the battle lines are inside the lines of the court. They're not everywhere else. But I don't know any great program that doesn't have real internal competition in the practice floor to make it better. And that's what we've got to have. We have not had that. I've said it many times. We're on the way to that, and then the injuries kicked in, to key guys, and then that was pretty much not there. And there can't be a, well, I can get by and still be okay. And I'm going to tell you, you guys see if this makes sense. I told these guys this last week too. The easiest thing about being an Indiana basketball player the last 2 years has been playing time. Practices are hard. Going to school is not easy. I mean, there's not a guy under a 2.9. We're getting over 3 points as our team GPA. The games are certainly hard. The demands are hard. The easiest thing has been to get playing time. Well, now that's going to become the hardest if we're doing the right stuff. And I told them to think about that. Think about that. I mean, we could practice. We didn't have bad practices, but we could have lackluster play, and they still had to play because we didn't have the depth. We have a gentleman here from the Miami Heat watching the workout and then going up to scout. And the first thing he says, because he saw us a year ago, you have so many more pieces. Yes, we do. But the key is that there's that competition every day to bring that out. That's what I'm excited about. I've talked about it every year. The first year there was no way to get it. The second year, like I said, it was well on its way. It just didn't happen because of the injuries, and some guys didn't develop. And the summer came back to collect on a couple of them. So.
You say so many more pieces. You really only added.
He said that. I don't like to talk in terms of pieces,
but I mean, is a lot of that just physical maturation?
I think that's exactly what it is because they look different.
Yeah.
They're not as recognizable. There's competition at every spot. There's some guys. There's going to be a rude awakening as this thing goes on. I mean, it's what they tell you and what is actually going on that court. For reality, are going to be two different things. There's not a lot of spots that have been won yet, and I think it's going to be great because it's going to make everybody else better. And we can see that's been the most noticeable difference about the work we've done, whether it was the small groups or the full team stuff. And it's really hard to gauge anything on 2 hours. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, why we're not at a minimum of 4 hours in the month of October, I have no idea. But I mean, at some point, it's got to change. We've got to be. And this is not what we're here for today. But I mean, we've got to get more time with these guys in basketball. We have to. And I would hope I speak on behalf of other coaches. I mean, you just need time with your players to make them better. They're here anyways.
Right.
But I know the mindset is changing. And again, you guys got a small glimpse of that last week, with Janae. I mean, that's what has to happen here. That's how we're going to build the program. I want people to see that. I want recruits to come in and see us work. I want them to stay for Saturday. There's no hiding from practice. I want to see them practice. I want them to see us practice. That's the things that are going to separate us over a period of time.